Bismillah. Now, in this lesson, we're going to speak about the division of letters as sun letters and moon letters. Huruf Shamsiyya and Huruf Qamariyya. Now, the letters I have that look like a moon, these letters are actually the moon letters, while the ones that have the sun on them are the sun letters. Now, why do we have this division? To demonstrate this, here we have the word Ash-Shams and Al-Qamar, the sun and the moon. That's what they mean. And this is the Al of definiteness that we spoke about in the previous lesson. Now, when you add Al to these, you'll notice a few things. Let's first of all start with Al-Qamar. How do we pronounce this? It's Al-Qamar. So Al-Qamar. So there's a sukoon there on top of the lam. And it's Al-Qamar. There's no issues with that. But when we come to Ash-Shams, there's something that's happening. And this has to do with the articulation point of the lam and the letter following it, which here is the sheen. And to actually find out the articulation point, have a hamza with a fatha followed by the lam. So we say al, with a titha, al. And do the same thing with the sheen. Ash. The actual points of articulation of the lam and the sheen are very close to each other. And because they're very close, what happens is this lam is not pronounced. And what happens instead is the lam is pronounced as a sheen. So there's actually a shadda here. So it's Ash-Shams, not Al-Shams. Because notice when you say Al-Shams, it's not smooth. Rather than Ash-Shams, which flows and is nicer to hear. However, with Al-Qamar, there's no issues with that. And that's because the articulation point of the lam and the qaf are far apart. So the al is where the teeth and the tongue come together, and the qaf, aq, comes from the throat, which is far from the articulation point of the lam. And because of this distance, it's much smoother to say it, because you're going from one articulation point to one that's further down. So it's Al-Qamar. However, with lam and the sheen, the lam is here and the sheen is right next to it. Al-Shams. Al-Shams. It's actually hard on the tongue to say. And then what that means is that these sun letters, the ta, the tha, dal, the ra, zay, and so on, if they come as the first letter of the word, after the al is being added, there'll be a shadda on the letter, and the lam will not be pronounced. And similarly, for example, the alif, ba, jim, ha, kha, and so on, if they actually come after the al of definiteness, they're always pronounced. And the lam is also pronounced as well, with sukoon. Now let's see these words in the Quran. So this is in Surah Ash-Shams, and it says, وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا. So notice, وَالشَّمْس. This is al of definiteness. This is hamzat al-wasl. It's not pronounced, because there's something before it. Similarly, this lam is not pronounced either, because as we said, this is from the sun letters, and there's a shadda there. So it's wash-shams. Then we have wal-qamari idha talaha. Wal-qamar. See, notice the lam here has a sukoon on it. Now the mushaf, when the lam is not pronounced, it doesn't have any sign on it. It's written, but there's no sukoon. But here it's wal-qamari idha talaha. So the qaf is from huruf al-qamariyya. Now let's take examples of this, inshallah. Here we have the moon letters, and here we have the sun letters. And we have here al-abu, the father. Notice here al-abu, it's pronounced. Al-babu, the door. Al-jannah, al-himar, al-khubz, and so on. So you see how the lam has the sukoon and it's pronounced in all cases. The huruf shamsiyya, notice here, we have at-tajiru. At-tajiru. There's a shadda there. Al-thawb, the garment. Ad-deek, the rooster. Al-dhahab, the gold. Ar-rajul, the man. And so on. Now, it's good to memorize which letters are the moon letters and which are the sun. It will help initially, but then later on it will become second nature to you. So my advice is just to practice, and a good way to do this is to listen to a Quran recitation and see how the words are pronounced. That completes the lesson. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.